I have so many Bluetooth connections around me right now, I'm positive this is gonna jack up my wireless mics. Alright, I'm not gonna be breaking any crazy hot news here, but I did want to share my first impressions with a smartwatch, which is already sort of out in the gadget tech community, and also stands as a refresh to a watch that we got last year. I am, of course, talking about the Ticwatch Pro 4G, and I also want to share some thoughts about why this is becoming one of my favorite lines of wearables. I just recently put out a video on the Ticwatch S, a watch I've been wearing off and on over the last 2 years, talking about how well it's aged, how well it's been supported. And of course, as soon as I rendered that video, digging through boxes, I was sure I still had one, but I couldn't find it to talk about it. I did eventually find my OG original Ticwatch, the one what with the tickle strip on the side. Why are we talking about the old tech when I should be sharing my thoughts on the new shiny? Totally fair question. I don't feel that this manufacturer has gotten enough credit for driving the evolution of WearOS. If you're keeping up with your smartwatch history, and really, why wouldn't you be, you'd remember that the original Ticwatch did not run a pure version of Android Wear. Oh no, this altered version of Android called TicWear joined Samsung in straying from just the cards interface and was one of the first to institute this multiple directional swipe layout to navigate the UI. Google threw this company a little cash, and after a couple iterations of Android Wear becoming Wear OS, wouldn't you know it, current flavors of Google smartwatch software now navigate around the UI with these different directional swipes. Yeah, this watch has been beautifully well supported. This is still one of the most fluid wearable experiences of any of the products that I've reviewed recently. And there's no learning curve struggle because basically everything is in the same place. Everything responds the same way that we now currently use with Wear OS. And that brings me back to this bad boy here, the Ticwatch Pro 4G LTE. This is only the first impressions. I will be following this up later. I haven't yet hooked up Verizon service for that LTE data connection. That's gonna be a major aspect of talking about this product because it is a refresh of the watch last year. What is that untethered experience like with Google? I'll be really interested to see how that performs because I just recently came off of an Apple Watch, and I think we're gonna have an interesting hardware versus software debate between those two ecosystems. First up, we should probably talk about chipset and performance. I've gotten a lot of comments from people concerned. This watch is still using the older Snapdragon 2100 series smartwatch processor, not the newest 3100. Wearing this on my wrist for a couple days now and comparing it against the limited time I've spent with a Fossil, one of those Fossil sport watches, there's very little difference in the fluidity of the experience. Talking horsepower, the two perform very similarly. I think one of the concerns might be the 3100 has better support for advanced power management features, scales down to a lower power mode, and should extend the runtime of the watch. The 2100 doesn't have that, but the Ticwatch solution is this dual screen technology. When you're not really doing anything, you get this monochrome display, you tap on it and the AMOLED fires up and you get all of the more computery smartwatch interactions. For any concerns that we might have about the horsepower of the technology, I still think one of the biggest power drains in any type of wearable like this is the display. Why a lot of us smartwatch nerds would probably be fine going back to some kind of monochrome, digital ink, e-paper kind of technology. Super readable in direct sunlight, and it draws less power. But we still want all of the smartwatchy things. There are plenty of really pretty fitness trackers, look very similar to fancy watches, but they have limited interactions for notifications. Very rarely do they have any kind of advanced replies, but it's great for tracking steps and tracking your heart rate. So while I'm sure the Snapdragon 3100 would have been a nice perk, this dual screen layer probably does a better job of managing some of that low power need. And while I know a lot of folks are going to be focused on the 4G interactions, I'm very curious about what LTE brings to Wear OS. I think the biggest improvement from this over the previous generation of Ticwatch Pro is just bumping up the RAM. Moving from half a gig to a full gig of RAM on a little wearable like this really does seem to improve the responsiveness of interactions here. I've got a bunch of watches in that weird like 3/4 gig RAM setup and older watches with a half a gig of RAM or less. That hardware impacts performance. And especially with something that you want those minimal interactions. You just want that little at a glance bit of information or a swipe and a tap and then get on with the rest of your day. You really want to see that responsiveness. Where I'm less concerned about the Snapdragon 2100, I'm really happy to see that upgrade in RAM. Plenty more to talk about with the Ticwatch Pro 4G, but that means I actually have to use it for a bit first. Be on the lookout for those extended conversations once the LTE gets fired up and I spend a little bit more time using it. We'll chat again soon, don't worry. As always, folks, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to this channel. More than just nerding out on one new accessory, we want to keep these conversations going, see how these products age over time, and whether or not the manufacturer really did live up to those expectations. For Ticwatches, these two completely exceeded my expectations. If you'd like to help support those expanded conversations, there are links down below this video, or you could consider joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen right now. It's a growing community of like-minded tech pals. It's a huge resource for me as I plan out future editorials and new videos and review topics, so I hope you'll check them out. We have a lot of fun. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch and the Facebook and the Instagram, and I will catch you all on the next review.